day everyone. This is the orientation video for the Recruitment and Selection Guidelines for Teacher 1 of the Schools Division of Iloilo City. It is understood that the Equal Employment Opportunity Principle is strictly adhered to in the conduct of this activity. This office highly encourages all interested and qualified applicants regardless of age, gender identity, sexual orientation, civil status, disability, social status, religion, ethnicity, and political affiliations or other personal circumstances to apply. Applicants with disabilities or special needs are encouraged to inform the school screening committee or the Human Resource Management Office upon submission of application so that provisions for their needs could be facilitated. The process of recruitment and selection in the Schools Division of Iloilo City would start with issuance of Division Memorandum that would signal that this office would now accept application for the position. This would be followed by the orientation of interested applicants through the YouTube account of the Schools Division of Iloilo City HRM PSB. Then, submission and receipt of applications would follow. This would be followed by the initial evaluation of applicants of which the qualified and disqualified applicants would be identified. Next would be the comparative assessment of applicants. And finally, the publication and the release of the comparative assessment results. Let us start with the orientation of interested applicants. In this YouTube channel of the Division HRM PSB, you can now watch the virtual orientation for the Teacher 1 recruitment. We encourage everyone to subscribe and follow this channel for more updates on the different orientation videos for the different positions. Applicants can view the orientation videos at their convenient time and can send queries or clarifications to the link that will be provided in the videos. The recruitment, selection, and appointment guidelines shall be discussed. The selection guidelines and the required documents or the means of verification shall be explained as indicated in the checklist of requirement. Next is the submission and receipt of applications. All interested applicants shall submit the documentary requirements to the school head of the elementary and or secondary school where he or she intends to apply on or before June 19, 2023. The following are the application documents. First, duly accomplished checklist of requirements and omnibus sworn statement on the certification on authenticity and veracity of the documents submitted in the Data Privacy Consent Form pursuant to RA 10173 or the Data Privacy Act of 2012 using the form notarized by authorized official. Second, a letter of intent addressed to the Schools Division Superintendent which shall indicate the following information: statement of purpose or expression of interest, level or subject he or she intends to teach, and preferred schools if any. Third, duly accomplished personal data sheet with work experience sheet. Then, photocopy of voter's ID or any proof of residency as deemed acceptable by the school selection committee. Next, photocopy of scholastic or academic record, such as but not limited to transcript of records and diploma, including completion of graduate and postgraduate units or degrees. Photocopy of certificates of training if applicable. For senior high school TVL applicants, photocopy of the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority or TESDA National Certificate if applicable. Photocopy of Trainer's Methodology Certificate, if applicable. For those with experience, a photocopy of Certificate of Employment or Contract of Service or duly signed service record, whichever is or are applicable. For senior high school applicants, relevant industry or work experience may be considered. Next document is a photocopy of valid and updated PRC license identification card. Photocopy of PIBET, LET, or LEPT ratings. The checklist of requirements for Teacher 1 can be downloaded on the link that can be seen on the screen. You can also scan the QR code to download the file. The first part of the checklist would include the information of the applicants, the name of the applicant, level that you intend to teach, specialization, contact number, religion, ethnicity, then questions if you have disability or if you are a solo parent. On the upper right side of this form would be your application code that will be provided by the school screening committee. The second part is the checklist of requirements. You can see in the first column the list of the different documents to be submitted. Then, the second column, you should accomplish this by checking if these documents are included in your folder. The last two columns would be accomplished by the HRMO or by the subcommittee. The last part of this checklist is the Omnibus Sworn Statement and the Data Privacy Consent. These documents shall be enclosed in a white folder and must be properly labeled using side tabs. The cover of the folder shall bear the name of the applicant, school where the documents were submitted, and the level, whether kindergarten, SPED, elementary, junior high school, or senior high school that you intend to teach. For applicants who intend to apply and qualify to teach for different levels such as kindergarten and elementary, SPED and elementary and junior high school, or junior high school and senior high school among others, separate folders shall be submitted. For junior high school applicants, the subject area specialization shall be indicated, such as English, Filipino, Science, Mathematics, Araling Panlipunan, MAPE, TLE, and Edukasyon sa Pagpapakatao. For senior high school applicants, the senior high school track or subject group shall be indicated, such as English, Filipino, UMS, ABM, Science, Mathematics, TVL, Arts and Design, and Physical Education and Health in Sports. Side tabbing labels shall include checklist, letter of intent, personal information, education, training, experience, and PIBET, LET, or LEPT rating. Late documents shall not be accepted after the deadline unless required or authorized by the HRM-PSB for further validation. The applicant assumes full responsibility and accountability for the authenticity and veracity of the documents submitted, as evidenced by the Omnibus Sworn Statement duly signed by the applicant. Any false and fraudulent documents submitted shall be grounds for disqualification. Applicants shall be provided with the application code. This will be provided by the school screening committee. This application code shall be used in the posting of initial evaluation results and comparative assessment results. Name of applicants shall be concealed in accordance with RA 10173 or the Data Privacy Act of 2012. In your checklist of requirements, on the upper right corner, this is where the school screening committee will indicate your application code. It is recommended to have a duplicate copy of this checklist of requirements so that you would know your application code. The application code would include level, district code, school code, and the applicant number. Again, take note of your application code because this will be used in the posting of the initial evaluation result and the comparative assessment results. Next is the initial evaluation of applicants. The Division Selection Subcommittee shall assist the HRMO in the conduct of initial evaluation, document review, verification of authenticity and veracity of the documents, subject to further review and validation of the HRMO. An initial evaluation of the applicant's qualifications vis-a-vis the Civil Service Commission approved qualification standards of the position shall be conducted, and this would include education, training, experience, eligibility, and competency. Here are the qualification standards for Teacher 1 for Kinder and Elementary. Education, Bachelor of Elementary Education, or Bachelor's Degree plus 18 professional units in education. No requirement for training, no requirement for experience, And for eligibility, you would follow RA 1080 for teachers or PIBET, LET, or LEPT eligibility. For special education would be bachelor's degree in education with a minimum of 18 units of SPED at the graduate level, or bachelor's degree in education, major in SPED. For training, required is training on specific area of exceptionality. Experience required is 3 years teaching experience in the regular classroom. Same for eligibility, RA 1080 for teacher or PIBET, LET, or LEPT eligibility. Junior high school education, Bachelor of Secondary Education, or bachelor's degree plus 18 professional units in education with appropriate major. No requirement for training and no requirement for experience. For eligibility, RA 1080 for teacher or PIBET, LET, or LEPT eligibility. For senior high school, specifically for academic, arts and design, and sports track. Education, bachelor's degree with a major in the relevant track or strand or subject, or any bachelor's degree with at least 15 units of specialization in the relevant track, strand, or subject. No requirement for training and no requirement for experience. For eligibility, for permanent position, RA 1080 for teacher or PIBET, LET, or LEPT eligibility. If not RA 1080 eligible, they must pass the LET within 5 years after the date of first hiring. For senior high school TVL track, bachelor's degree for education or completion of a technical vocational course in the area of specialization. For training, at least National Certificate Level 2, appropriate to the specialization. No requirement for experience. For eligibility, for the permanent positions, RA 1080 for teacher or PIBET, LET, LEPT eligibility. If not RA 1080 eligible, they must pass the LET within 5 years after the date of first hiring. Based on the initial evaluation, a duly signed initial evaluation results shall be comprised of 2 lists of applicants. Qualified, those who met the minimum qualifications required by the position to be filled. And disqualified, those who do not meet the minimum qualifications of the position to be filled. A copy of the IER shall be posted by the HRMO and division subcommittees in at least 3 conspicuous physical places, including the division website, concealing the applicant's personal information, again in accordance with the Data Privacy Act of 2012. All applicants shall be notified of the results of the initial evaluation through a written notice served through official communication channels. Queries and/or clarifications of the applicants pertaining to this process and result of initial evaluation shall be lodged to HRMO within 5 calendar days from date of posting of the IER. Next stage is comparative assessment. The HRMPSB, through the Division Selection Subcommittee, shall conduct the comparative assessment of qualified applicants based on the results of evaluation of documents and determination of points according to the provisions stipulated in Deputy Order No. 7, Series of 2023. Here are the criteria according to the hiring and appointment guidelines for Teacher 1. Education, which would include units or degree relevant to the position to be filled, exceeding the qualification standard, 10 points. Training, which would include hours in curriculum and instruction, exceeding the qualification standard acquired in the last 5 years. For senior high school, this must be relevant to the learning area, specialization, or to the strand, 10 points. Experience, this would include the months or years of teaching exceeding the qualification standards. For senior high school, relevant industry or work experience may be considered, 10 points. Next, LEPT, LET, or PIBET rating. Rating obtained as reflected in the Certificate of Rating, 10 points. Philippine Professional Standard for Teachers or PPST, Classroom Observable Indicators or COIs. measured through classroom observation or demonstration teaching, 35 points. And non-classroom observable indicators or NCOIs, measured through the teacher reflection form, 25 points. Let us go to the first three criteria: education, training, and experience. 30 points would go for ETE or for education, training, and experience and should exceed the qualification standard as presented earlier. Only those qualifications that are relevant to the position to be filled shall be given points. We will be using increments table, which would determine the incremental points in education, training, experience obtained by the applicant that exceeds the minimum requirement per Civil Service Commission approved qualification standards. To illustrate, we will have a simulation of how the increments table will be used. For example, we are now hiring and looking for a MAPI teacher for high school. The qualification standards for the position are on the screen. For education, it should be Bachelor's of Secondary Education degree holder or a bachelor's degree plus 18 units in education. No requirement for training and no requirement for experience, and for eligibility, it's RA 1080 for teacher. We have three applicants, Juan, Maria, and Pedro. Juan is a BS Ed graduate. No training and no experience. Maria is a BS Ed graduate with 18 units for a master's degree in education. She attended 32 hours training on curriculum contextualization and localization and lesson planning. Maria is a teacher associate for 4 years and 3 months in Marian Academy. Let us go to Pedro. Pedro is a BS Sports Science graduate with 18 professional units in education. He attended a 24 hours training on sport training and coaching. And he is a teacher for 6 years and 2 months in Sacred Heart Academy. Now let's compute for the ETE points of Juan, Maria, and Pedro. If you can remember, Juan have met the qualification standard of the position. Meeting the qualification standards or the baseline requirements for ETE shall be given 0 points. So Juan would receive 0 points in the 3 criteria. Let's take a look at now Maria. The baseline level in the increment table for education is bachelor's degree, which is level 6. Maria, since she has 18 units for master's degree, looking at the increments table, that would be level 11. In the table, it would refer to less than 21 units earned towards the completion of a master's degree. What we are going to do is to subtract 11 to 6, the applicant's level, that to the baseline level. 11 minus 6 is 5. Then we will take a look at the rubrics for computation for points. So 5 increments would give her 6 points. So for education, Maria got 6 points. Let's take a look at now training. There's another increment table for training and the same another table for experience. Since the qualification standards requires no training, that would be level 1. Maria have attended 32 hours, so we'll look at the increments table that would go to level 5, less than 40 hours. 5 minus 1, which is equal to 4. So 4 increments in training is 6 points. For experience, requirement is none. That would be level 1. Maria have served 4 years and 3 months as teacher associate. In the increments table, that would be level 9, or less than 4 years and 6 months. 9 minus 1, the increment would be 8. In the rubric, that would give her 10 points. So 6 points for education, 6 points for training, and 10 points for experience. In the first 3 criteria, Maria gets 22 points. Let's take a look at now for Pedro. Pedro is a bachelor's in science, sports science graduate with 18 professional units in education. So he have just met the qualification standard, which would give him 0 points. For training, the required is 0 or none. Then Pedro attended 24 hours training. This would go to level 4 or less than 32 hours. For -1, that would give him 3 increments, which would give him 4 points. For experience, required is none also, but Pedro had 6 years and 2 months as teacher associate. That would be level 13 or less than 6 years and 6 months. 13 minus 1 would give him 12 increments. In the rubric, 8 or more increments is 10 points. So 0 points for education, 4 points for training, and 10 points for experience. Pedro gets 14 points for APE. Let us proceed to the next criteria, which is the LET, LEPT, or PIVET rating. To compute for your LET, LEPT, or PIVET rating, we simply have to get your rating divided by 100 times the weight allocation, which is 10. Then that would be now your points for this criteria. Example is 82.75 as a LET rating divided by 100 times 10, which is the weight allocation. So here you got 8.275 points in this criteria. Let us go to the other 2 criteria, which are the Philippine Professional Standard for teachers, classroom observable indicators, and non-classroom observable indicators. Classroom observable indicators would give you a maximum of 35 points, while non-classroom observable indicators would give you 25 points. This is part of the strategic HR framework of the Department of Education to ensure that hiring is a competency-based process. These are the 5 classroom observable indicators. First, 1.1.2 or apply knowledge of content within and across curriculum teaching areas. 1.4.2 use a range of teaching strategies that enhance learner achievement in literacy and numeracy skills. Third, 1.5.2 apply a range of teaching strategies to develop critical and creative thinking as well as higher order thinking skills. Fourth, 4.1.2 plan, manage, and implement developmentally sequenced teaching and learning processes to meet the curriculum requirements and varied teaching context. And last, 5.1.2, which is to design, select, organize, and use diagnostic, formative, and summative assessment strategies consistent with curriculum requirements. For applicants in the IP community, or would be indigenous people education teachers, 2 other indicators are included. 1.6.2, which is the display of proficient use of mother tongue, Filipino, and English to facilitate teaching and learning, and 3.5.2, which is to adapt and use culturally appropriate teaching strategies to address the needs of learners from indigenous groups. The applicant's demonstration of these classroom observable indicators shall be assessed through the conduct of classroom observation or demonstration teaching using the classroom observation tool for recruitment, selection, and placement. Since there are 5 indicators, the maximum points for each indicator is 6. So the maximum total score that you can get in this criteria or in the classroom observation is 30 points. So example, at the end of the demonstration teaching, the applicant got a total score of 20. So 20 divided by the maximum score of 30 times 35, which is the weight allocation, the applicant got 23.33 points in this criteria. For classroom observation and demonstration teaching, the applicant will choose the topic or competency for his or her teaching demonstration. 30-minute teaching demonstration will be done by the applicant with 15 to 20 learners. There will be 2 observers who are members of the Division Selection Subcommittee. The applicant should prepare 2 copies of a detailed lesson plan. The use of technology is highly encouraged. Here are some reminders for teacher applicants. Review the COT-RSP rubric, a copy of which will be provided to the link that will be given on the succeeding slides. You have to plan the lesson based on the identified indicators. Provide the observers with your detailed lesson plan and deliver the lesson. For non-classroom observable indicators, these are the 4 indicators. 6.1.2. Maintain learning environments that are responsive to community context. 6.3.2. Review regularly personal teaching practice using existing laws and regulations that apply to the teaching profession and the responsibilities specified in the Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers. 7.2.2. Adapt practices that uphold the dignity of teaching as a profession by exhibiting qualities such as caring attitude, respect, and integrity. And last, 7.3.2. Participate in professional networks to share knowledge and to enhance experience. The applicant's demonstration of the non-classroom observable indicators shall be assessed through the applicant's narrative and reflection using the teacher reflection form. Since there are 4 indicators, there will be 4 questions for this narrative and reflection. For each question, a maximum of 5 points can be given to the applicant. A total of maximum points of 20. For example, at the end of the teacher reflection form, the applicant got a score of 14. So to compute your points in this criteria, 14 divided by 20 times 25, which is the weight allocation, which is equal to 17.5 points. So in this criteria, the applicant got 17.5 points. The TRF will be administered on the spot. Duration would be 1 hour. There will be an orientation before the start of TRF. Once started, applicants cannot leave the testing room. Applicants are expected to bring his or her own pen or pencil. Answer sheets will be provided by the proctor. Again, for these 2 criteria, both for classroom observable indicators and non-classroom observable indicators, we have these tools that will be used to assess your performance. The COT for the recruitment and selection and placement, and the teacher reflection form. The rubrics for classroom observation, demonstration teaching, and for narrative and reflection can be downloaded on the link that you can see on the screen. You can also scan the QR code to download the indicators or the rubrics. The HRM-PSB, through the Division Selection Subcommittee, shall inform the applicants of their schedule for demonstration teaching and teacher narrative and reflection. An open ranking system shall be adopted to ensure transparency in the process and results of the comparative assessment. Applicants or subset of applicants are present to witness the actual evaluation, for which the scores of all applicants present thereat shall be disclosed to all attendees. Each applicant shall be given an opportunity to ask questions and seek clarifications on the results of their individual assessment and acknowledge receipt of their individual results. Upon receipt of the individual results, applicants shall affix their signature to the individual evaluation sheets. The duly signed individual evaluation sheet shall serve as acknowledgement that the applicant has undergone the application and assessment process based on these guidelines, and that the results of the individual assessment have been discussed with a concerned applicant. Let us go to the last stage, the comparative assessment results. The Division HRM-PSB shall prepare 2 sets of reports of comparative assessment. We have the comparative assessment result for the CAR, which shall contain the comparative assessment of all applicants, and the comparative assessment result, Registry of Qualified Applicants or CAR-RQA, which shall contain only the candidates who have met the cutoff score of 50 points. Only the CAR RQA shall be submitted to the school's division superintendent for reference in appointment to Teacher 1 positions. The CAR RQA for teachers intended for a specific school year shall be valid only for the duration of the school year for which it was prepared. It shall be utilized in filling up the positions that are created or vacated within the school year, provided that the Division HRM-PSB shall reconvene to deliberate and update the CAR RQA by identifying the candidates who were already appointed. A copy of the CAR RQA shall be posted in at least 3 conspicuous places in the division office and schools for a period of 10 calendar days. Queries or clarifications of the applicants pertaining to the process and result of comparative assessment shall be lodged to the HRM-PSB within 5 calendar days from the date of posting of the CAR RQA. Again, to be included in the Registry of Qualified Applicants or CAR RQA, you should have met the cutoff score of 50 points. Appointment shall be made from among the top 5 or less depending on the number of vacancies. However, those who rank below the top 5 or less may be appointed within the purview of the following exemptions. First, RA 8190 or localization law, which grants priority in the appointment or assignment of teachers to public elementary and secondary schools to the bona fide residents of barangay, municipality or city, or province where the school is located. Merit and fitness, which grants priority if the top-ranking candidates do not possess the necessary learning area specialization required by the position to be filled, or all the top-ranking candidates who possess the necessary learning specialization have already been appointed. And relevant law or national policies which grants priority in the appointment through the enactment of law, national policy, and or agreement entered into by DepEd with other entities. If you have questions or clarifications on the recruitment, selection, and placement guidelines of Teacher 1, send your questions or queries to the link that you can see on the screen. Thank you for joining this video orientation on the recruitment and selection guidelines for Teacher 1. All the best and good luck to all interested teacher applicants. Once again, thank you and have a good day.